All right. Welcome, everybody, to the first edition of, I guess, Ramble with Rhino Zoom edition. Got Tyler and Kurt with me today. Tyler used to be my co-host, Locker Room Show, Ramble with Rhino podcast, bunch of sporting events. He was the voice of the Demons for like 10 years, and now he's working at a radio station in Rock Hill. Done a lot of championship type events, covered Zion Williamson, Cam Reddish, all those guys. Kurt, champion of the Halloween costume, big Duke fan, pop culture, genius. So we're gonna go down this list, some sports, some pop culture, and then we're gonna finish up with a Mount Rushmore at the end of the show. Okay. So, as we know, coronavirus has affected us all, socially, TV-wise, sports-wise, economically, everything. Everybody's been affected by this coronavirus. With all the sports being shut down, I'll go to you, Kurt, first, just because you're on my left, and then I'll rotate you guys. What has been the biggest thing you've missed due to the coronavirus, in your opinion?
Just social interaction, March Madness, probably March Madness right now. Everybody missed that right now. So filling out your bracket sheet, throwing in $20 into the pool. Just that right now. NBA playoffs about to start up.
True. How about you?
I think we missed a lot of things. I think right now we miss normalcy because we don't know when this is going to end. Scott Van Pelt had a little piece on his program the other night where he put it so eloquently, we don't have anything to look forward to because we don't know when that thing is going to happen. I would love to look forward to the Masters. I would love to be talking about the Masters. I would love to be talking about college basketball's national championship. I would love to be talking about baseball and the big series that's coming up this weekend or the NBA Finals, but we don't know when any of that, if it's going to happen. And I hate to sound dark to start this podcast off, but I think I just miss looking forward to something, looking forward to a big sporting event as it pertains to that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing. I think it's a combination because for me, or me and you both, Tyler, for a year and a half had to look forward to what storylines we were going to talk about. Kurt, I talk to every day, and it was generally a summary of what storylines happened the night before, whether it be college, high school, pro, whatever it was. So, I mean, for me, it's a combination because, like Kurt said, March Madness is big, even if you don't have a team invested. I'm a Gamecock fan. I rarely ever have a team invested. But I love watching Duke, North Carolina, Kansas, Kentucky, and all them play. And then I love watching, on the flip side of that, Gonzaga, Butler, Valparaiso, Murray State, whoever that's going to make a run. NBA Finals, you've had an intriguing setup in L.A. with Kawhi versus LeBron, potentially, for the West. And then in the East, you got the Freak and Celtics, and then you still got James Harden and Westbrook in that mix. So it was coming down to a big possibility of great games in the NBA Finals this year. Masters, whether you like golf, don't like golf, everybody watches that or at least keeps an eye on it, especially with Tiger back in the mix. So NASCAR, Olympics, high school sports, I mean, all of this stuff is lost, really. So speaking of NBA, if you was to have to put together a top 5 starting lineup, all-time NBA, who's your guy? Tyler, I'll go with you. Who's your 5 guys, your bench guy, and a coach? Who you got?
I thought about this because you sent some of the topics before we started this podcast, and I'm not going to be that guy that completely cops out because you guys are just a little bit older than me, and guys like Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, I could easily put them on my list, but quite frankly, I didn't see them, so I'm going to go off guys that I remember seeing, and the first guy I remember seeing was Michael Jordan. So he's obviously on my team.
Yep.
This is not the sentimental pick, but I am a huge Kobe Bryant fan, whether he's off the bench or on my starting lineup. Kobe Bryant meant a lot to me, and watching those games every Sunday, he was must-watch sports television for me. So Kobe, Michael Jordan, I've got those two. LeBron James is probably going to run my point or small forward somehow, some way. At center, would you go the dominating Shaq, which was the dominating guy throughout pretty much the peak of my sports watching into high school and into college? Or would you go somebody like today? Would you go like a Anthony Davis? And it's hard not to look at Kawhi Leonard right now. Like, Kawhi Leonard had one of the more unbelievable runs in the playoffs last year for the Toronto Raptors, and this big brouhaha going in free agency with the LA Clippers. It's hard not to even think about him. But I'll go Anthony Davis there, and we don't really have a true center anymore in the NBA, Rhino. We've talked about that a lot. I mean, the center position is pretty much defunct and gone. You just have, like, really strong, nasty power forwards that play good defense. So where am I at? I got 4 players, I guess.
You got 5.
I got to go a heart pick with Kemba Walker. Can I just make him? Yeah, I'm going to get Kemba Walker first off my bench, just because that's a heart pick. He's probably not even in the top, 5 greatest players right now in the league, but that's my guy.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you another guy off my bench.
You're not getting graded.
Another guy off my bench. He could be. I'm going to go second or third off the bench. I'm going to go Gerald Wallace, and that's for my Bobcats fans out there. Gerald Wallace was just the guy that got after it. He had to be the guy, the number 1 for the Bobcats, but he's not a number 1 on any team. He's more like a number 3 or a number 4 best player, and I like him coming off my bench. So it's not a great team. I mean, of course, I've got the Jordan and the Kobe and the LeBron, but those are pretty obvious picks there. I'm curious what you guys have, because you guys come from a generation that you went from Magic the Bird to the Jordan, the Malones, and now you're seeing the LeBrons and the Kevin Durants and the Steph Curry. So I'm curious what you guys have, because my span is a little shorter than yours.
Go ahead, Kurt. Give us all your 5.
I'm probably not going to go with your typical textbook top 5. I'm going to go with my guys. And so I'm going to go point guard. I'm going to go Steve Nash. That's just my guy. I've always liked him. Fast pace.
Yeah.
Golden State Warriors kind of get credit for the fast-paced offense now, but I think that D'Antoni Nash Suns team kind of started that. Then, plus he was a cool guy. Then I'm going with a shooting guard. I'm going to go with Joe Dumars, because that was my guy back then. I was a Pistons bad boys guy.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to go at small forward. Since I'm an old guy, I'm going to go Bird. You either like Bird or Magic. I was Bird. He had the killer instinct. Won 3 championships. So I'm going Bird. At power forward, I was a toss up between. I was just gonna go with your textbook on this, either Malone or Duncan. But I guess I'll go Duncan. And at center, I'm gonna go with Shaq. That's textbook as well. And then my heart pick off the bench, I gotta throw JJ Redick in there because you need a shooter. He didn't have to play the whole game. He gave me 20 minutes. He gave me 15 points off the bench.
All right. That ain't bad. Mine is a mix kind of point. Magic's at the point. That's my guy. Magic was the point guard I would take. MJ, you got to take at 2. 3, I bring LeBron in. He'd be the small guy, even though he's a big guy. But this is where it changes a little bit with my picks. Them guys are going to score. They can handle the basketball. My 4, or my power forward, is Dennis Rodman, because he gives you the defense. He eliminates the other guy. He gets in their head. He does the work. You don't need 5 scorers when you got these 3, Rodman, and then I'd have Shaq as well, just because of the dominant force. Without there being centers, there's nobody who can body Shaq. I mean, old age, new age, especially right now, I take Shaq. And then my first guy off the bench will be Dirk, just because he's long, but he can shoot the 3. Like Kurt said with JJ, you need a shooter to make a run. I put Dirk in there, and then that would be my team. I think they'd all be fun to watch. I was thinking about the question, and this may be on a different podcast, about which era would you –
I actually almost went Dirk.
Dirk's a good one. He doesn't play any defense, but, I mean, who cares? Dennis Rodman will pick up the slack for that.
Oh.
But I mean, I was thinking. Maybe,
Rhino, I knew you were going to take. I knew.
y'all there?
I think Rhino's dial.
Yeah. I think your Dell crashed.
You back? Are you back?
Yeah, we're here.
Okay, go ahead. Okay. All right, I can't see you. There you go. Okay, everything's back. I don't know what happened. I don't have dial-up, by the way. So, anyway, we'll move on.
Marathon.
Do what? All right, so we'll move along. Something else that the coronavirus has affected was WrestleMania this past weekend. First time ever without it being in front of a crowd. And you know, it changed the whole dynamic of that. I didn't watch it. I know Tyler, you did. Me and Kurt talked about it. So that kind of changes that dynamic when you don't have the fans to play off. You don't have the screaming and hollering, the signs. Raw pretty much built their new era off of the fans, off of signs, off of reactions from fans. Stone Cold and the DX guys, you know, your era, Tyler, that you pretty much came up on, cut your teeth in wrestling. That was what it was all about, the fan interaction.
Yeah.
So for this particular Zoom cast, I'm gonna go with you guys. I'll start with Kurt from the top. Your top 3 wrestlers, your top 3 tag teams, your number 1 underrated guy, the one guy who wasn't it didn't sell the tickets, but you love to watch him work, the undercard guy, and then the one guy you hated. Come on, Kurt, give me your 3.
I'm gonna go number 1. I started thinking about this when you brought it up. I don't really like single wrestlers for the most part. It sounds when I was thinking about it. I guess I'm gonna go Ric Flair, but I hated Ric Flair. The cool pick now, but he was the bad guy. So, but I'm gonna go Dusty Rhodes. He's a good talker, and he was the main good guy in the NWA when I grew up watching it. Then I'm gonna go Sting, I guess. Sting was also kind of the good guy at the time.
Yeah.
Then
I only asked for 3.
Then I think I'm gonna go probably Barry Windham.
No, you're not.
Just a workhorse.
No, you're not.
Then my underrated guy that really didn't get enough respect, I'm gonna go Brad Armstrong.
Oh, wow.
Also a technician. Did all the right things.
I think Tim Horner would be your guy.
Second generation.
Oh, man. Wow.
Oh, we're going tag teams now, right? My tag team now?
Yeah.
Or we come back? Okay.
Whatever.
Tag team, number 1. You know it's Rock and Roll Express. Best tag team ever, in my opinion.
Of course.
They were the reason I watched it. Even the best singles matches of my time were, I think, were Ricky Morton against Ric Flair, just because I think they had to do that because the Rock and Roll Express were more popular than all the single wrestlers at the time. Number 2, I'm gonna go the Road Warriors because they just kind of came in and wrecked shop for 30 seconds and it was over. Plus the scalpel matches with the Midnight Express, different. Third, I had a toss-up here for 2 different ones, but I ended up going with the Steiner brothers. I was going to – honorable mention is going to be the British Bulldogs, but I'm going to go Steiner brothers because they were came out in Michigan and stuff, and they were pretty exciting. The Frankensteiner was kind of something you'd never seen at the time. So that's my 3.
All right, Tyler.
Okay. So I obviously grew up in a much different era. And I grew up in a different area where I didn't grow up with WCW. I didn't see a WCW match, or I didn't see Sting until I was like, 13, 14 years old. And then I was hooked. I fell in love. I grew up with WWF, now WWE. And I grew up in the New Generation era with Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker on his rise, and Mankind, and all those guys. So my top 3 wrestlers: Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart. Those were my 2 absolute favorites. I love those guys. And when I first saw Sting, I was hooked. I mean, I was totally hooked when Sting came around and had the. I started off with, how about this, guys? My first WCW match that I ever saw was Bash at the Beach '96 when Hogan turned heel. That's the first time I saw WCW. And the very first match I ever saw that I remember seeing as a kid, as like 5, 6 years old, was WrestleMania 3 when Hogan did the body slam to Andre and completely like put wrestling on the map in the mid '80s. So seeing Hogan go heel was like, oh, well, this is interesting. And then, of course, Sting has the Black Crow face paint, and I was completely hooked. So Sting, HBK, Bret Hart, those are my top 3 guys. Will always be my favorite 3. Tag teams, this was tough because I'm the opposite with Curtis. I'm not a big tag team guy. So this was tough for me. Like I went back and watched some old Road Warriors matches this past weekend. Those matches don't hold up. Those matches were like 2 minutes, and they were terrible wrestlers. I'm going to go British Bulldog and Owen Hart because that was one of the top tag teams during the New Generation. I loved Bulldog and Davey and Owen Hart. I love those 2 characters. I'm going to go the start of like the 2 great singles wrestlers that became a tag team. I'm going to go the Outsiders. Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, when they got into WCW, tag team champions, completely dominated the division. And then my 3rd slot, it's tough. There's a lot of teams I could go with. I was a big Harlem Heat guy because it was like Booker T put on display. Stevie Ray would not make it today. He would not last 1 month in WWE today, but he was that old school bruiser wrestler from like the late 80s, early 90s, that big guy where the big boys play WCW type style. So I'll go Harlem Heat with my 3rd tag team.
Underrated.
Oh, my underrated guy. This is easy. Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig. Any match he was in, I was absolutely hooked. He made everybody look like $1 million. He made everybody that he wrestled with look great. So I'm going to go Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect. He was a natural at everything he did.
Who's the guy you hated? Both of you. Who'd you hate? Or maybe
Mine's Hulk Hogan. That guy sucked.
Ooh.
All he had was an elbow drop. He had the best theme song. That's it. I mean, come out there, put his hand to his ear. And not an elbow drop, a leg drop. That's it. Guys,
I never liked Lex Luger. I never understood Luger. I can't name you one Lex Luger match that I enjoyed. So I think I'm going to go Lex Luger. He obviously looked like $1 million. But when the bell rang, he wasn't much of a wrestler. So I'll go Luger with
pretty good though.
Yeah, I'll go Luger with the guy I never liked.
All right, well, y'all covered some of those. My 3 is Dusty Rhodes. I wasn't a Ric Flair fan either early on. The mystique and the old majesty later on when he was a good guy, I think we all kind of respect, and the woo and all that. But Dusty Rhodes, Nikita Koloff was my number 2. I love the Russian guys. He played a good part. He's big and strong, and he fought everybody in NWA at the time. And then Stone Cold, I got to put him at my 3rd just because he changed the game. Hellraiser, came in, middle fingers, drinking beer, Austin 316. That was a pretty cool thing. That was pretty much the end of my wrestling. Top 3 tag teams. Me and Kurt's pretty much on the same thing. I got Rock and Roll Express. Number 3 is the Koloffs, but I had the Steiners right below it. I love the Koloffs. I love the Russian guys. I don't know. Most underrated guy, I think, was Arn Anderson. He was tactical. He was tough. He was strong. He was kind of overshadowed by everything the 4 Horsemen were. Him and Tully Blanchard both were really good wrestlers. But they just kind of overshadowed by Ric Flair generally. And the guy I hated the most is one of Kirk's guys, is Barry Windham, because that guy sucked. And I don't think Barry Windham could. He couldn't put me in a lariat, and it wouldn't hurt me. I don't think. And the guy was flabby, like he just a regular old Joe. He never had an ounce of muscle on him. I'd rather have Sam. What?
He wasn't flabby.
He had no definition. I'd rather have Sam Houston. All right. So moving on. I know all of us have watched it. What's your take, Tyler? I'll start with you, and it ain't got to be a great take. What's your take on Tiger King?
Oh Lord, um, it is. I've had multiple people ask me how to describe this Netflix phenomenon. And thank God for Tiger King taking place during the coronavirus, where we're quarantined and sitting in the house, and we're just scanning something to find to watch. And I'm not one of those binge watchers. Let me just say that. I can't name you a show in the last year to 2 years that I've sat down and binge watched. I can't do it. That's not me. But I saw all these Tiger King memes, which have just taken on a life of its own on Facebook and social media, and they're hilarious. And I'm like, all right, I got to watch this show. So I sat down on a Saturday and watched the first episode. I'm like, all right, I'm into this. And 6 episodes later, I completely burned a Saturday and watched the whole damn thing. So, but it's like Jerry Springer meets How to Make a Murderer meets National Geographic, except nobody dies. Like, it's this weird thing that's taken on a life of its own, like we said. Yeah.
Or whatever.
Carol Baskin's husband dies. Yeah, Carol Baskin's husband either got eaten by a tiger or something. But it's hard to describe. Somebody told me they didn't want to watch it because they were worried about animal abuse. There's very little animal abuse in the show itself. There's a little bit in the first episode, and there's 2 lines that they drop in the very end about the guy in South Carolina that apparently has this like gas chamber or something, which is terrifying. But for the better part of the series, it is about these psychotic people that have this obsession with these animals. Carol Baskin's a complete hypocrite because for all the things she says that the guy that the show's about in Oklahoma does wrong, she's doing the same damn thing. The guy in Myrtle Beach, at first you thought he was kind of normal, like he was going to be almost the narrator told through his eyes, but he's a nutbag. He changed his name to some Indian name that means Lord. He's got 19 and 20-year-olds falling at his feet, which is just bizarre. The guy that I thought was the most normal to a certain point was the guy that was doing the documentary at first, the guy from like Inside Edition. But it turns out he like got addicted to crack, and he might have been the one that burned down the videos and all the coverage that had been done. But I don't know. There's so much we could dive in with this documentary, but it's unlike anything we've ever seen. But these people are real. These people are absolutely real. There were points in the documentary, guys, where I thought it was fake. Like I thought, there's no way this is real. Like these guys are acting. But it's real. I mean, if you go to YouTube, you can find the news reports. You can find the political campaign that this guy was running, and it's all real footage. It's just absolutely bizarre.
What you got?
Yeah, I've watched the first 3, and I think I basically started watching it just because everybody was watching and posting something. So I was like, I guess I need to know what's going on in the world and watch this mess. But I get the feel of it, but I don't know. It's going to take me a while to finish it. That's just something I can't put up with 7 hours of that, man. I work in Cassett 2 days a week. It's like Cassett with tigers.
Well, I mean, I think everybody's got some sort of opinion. I think it's great. I think the biggest thing I think is great about this, because there's hundreds of people maybe not hundreds, dozens of people just like this all over the country that we could make a Netflix special, whether it's cockfighting or growing weed or selling drugs or who knows what. But there's Joe Exoticas probably in Cassett, but definitely all over the United States. I just figured I'd ask that. All right, so stay-at-home order in place, pretty much work, home, that's it. So when you get the chance to leave, sit down and eat a good meal. Where are you going? Kirk, where are you going?
Cantina 76. So either one of those.
Yeah, I agree. Me and Matt.
All right.
We're going to Cantina 76. Go ahead, Tyler.
All right, so I've got a couple here. Obviously all these restaurants are to go only, and I've discovered a Mexican restaurant a mile away from me called El Cancun. Shout out. And I'm a friendly guy, and I'm talking to the people at the front desk, asking how this has affected their business and whatnot. It's part of the job that I'm in is selling advertising. I'm just curious how it's affected them. And he said it's affected them big time. And I said, I don't get Mexican to go a lot. I'm one of those guys that likes to sit down, the chips and salsa, order some cheese dip, have a beer, and just enjoy it. I'm not one that gets Mexican to go a lot. I know there are some families that do, but I'm not. I actually like to enjoy and I know Rhino's one of those people. Rhino likes to sit down and enjoy Mexican food at a San Jose or something like that. So I'll say as something as simple as going to a Mexican restaurant. I'll also throw this out there. How great would it be when all of this is over to go to a sports bar and enjoy a beer and have social interaction? And I know the world is going to be different after all this is over. Of course it is. But just to go to a sports bar, have a beer, and enjoy watching games with other people. That'll be a good day, I think. I really do.
I agree. I can't wait. I think me and Melissa probably go to home team and then eat sushi. Like I said, me and my daughters already talked about. As soon as Cantina 76 opens up, I'm going to go down there and just eat the Tres Hombres, guacamole, cheese dip, salsa, Pacifico beer as long as I can. All right.
Yeah, we eat once a week.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to close it up. This is the final. The Mount Rushmore. Mount Rushmore of Little Debbie's. We all grew up on Little Debbie's, still growing up on them. And so your top 4 Little Debbie's and the one that you would ban for life. Tyler, I'll let you start. 4 Little Debbie's and the one you would ban for life.
Oh, all right. Just because the one I'm going to say first doesn't mean it's number one. All right, because Little Debbie's, this is like sacred territory we're talking about here. Everybody's got their favorite, and they will fight over their favorite.
True.
So I'm going to go the Swiss rolls on the Mount Rushmore. There's nothing like a nice little Swiss roll put in the freezer for a little bit, have with a nice glass of milk. So I'll go with the Swiss rolls, the ho-hos,
unanimous
as
number
they call
one.
them in the South. Yeah. Nobody likes a sweaty fudge round, but fudge rounds overall are great. I'm going to go with the fudge round. I will go with ours. I love those. I'm a sucker for those. So that'll be my third, and my fourth. I know this is sacrilege. Everybody loves the oatmeal cream pie, but I will go the Christmas tree cakes. There's just something about the Christmas tree cakes in the holidays, so with a glass of milk during Christmas time. So I'll go with the Christmas tree cake. The one I can't stand, I've never understood 2. I'm going to throw 2 at you that I won't eat. The Cosmic Brownie, I don't care for it at all. It's too much chocolate for me. And the Honey Bun. The Honey Buns don't even look appetizing. I can tell you what they look like, but I think it's PG. They don't even look good to me. No. And I know Rhino disagrees with me wholeheartedly.
No, I don't like honey buns. I don't eat honey buns ever. Too much.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
I don't either.
Go ahead, Kurt. Shoot them 4 at us.
My turn?
Yeah.
In no particular order. I'm going to oatmeal cream pie because that's what your parents always had for you when you came home. It's good. It stands the test of time. I'm going to go with the donut sticks. I like the donut sticks.
Ooh, okay.
I'm going to go to Christmas tree cake, which is basically a zebra cake with sprinkles. But I'm putting it up there. And my last, and certainly not least, the underrated peanut butter crunch bar. You don't see it everywhere. It doesn't get the hype. This is my third quarantine box of the peanut butter crunch bar.
That's a good pull. That's a real good pull. Yeah.
And my throwaway has got to be the Star Crunch. That thing is the worst. You go to somebody's house, their parents give you the Star Crunch. I believe it. I'm going to somebody else's house.
I knew you was going there. That's me and you talked enough about this. You know, the Star Crunch is going out the window. I'll say the peanut butter bar Kurt showed. We talked about this. That's the best one in my opinion. I like it in the refrigerator. You can eat it outside, and then you got a strip of peanut butter on the inside, a Reese cup. Solid. Swiss cake roll, I think is unanimous. Everybody eat a Swiss cake roll. They solid. The Nutty Bar, basically two sticks. I like them. Oatmeal pie, like you said, it's the old standard. You can eat that anytime. It's kind of like toast cheese crackers. I eat oatmeal pie whenever it's good. But the one I'm throwing out, I
Yeah.
don't know, the raisin cake. That's a garbage cake. It's dry like sawdust. I don't like.
Oh,
I don't like anything about it. And I like raisins, but that raisin cake, down on that. And also the Nutri-Grain bar they got two for $1. That's garbage also. Go ahead.
can we go back to something for a minute? Can we go back to Tiger King for just a moment?
Yeah.
There are so many characters that Rhino would either text me about that he has seen on his many travels through Sumter, Dalzell, or even in Columbia. The guy, is it Jeff, that eventually buys out Joe Exotic's camp? I don't trust anybody who is a grown-ass man, 50 plus years old, still wears an Oakley hat and a Affliction shirt. I don't trust that guy. Is that one of the most shady guys you've ever seen on a TV show? And he's real. He's 100% real.
He take that a Harley again with no motorcycle. I don't know. The bandana, the white dude with the bandana and the hat, I can't get with it. Go ahead, Kurt. I know you got something to pile in on.
I'm gonna go back to the Little Debbie's for a second. When you're a little kid, and you'd have your baseball game, and it was certain parents' duty every week to bring like a drink and a Little Debbie or a bag of chips. You pretty much judged that kid whose parents like brought like the little, like, I don't know, if they didn't have like a soda
Like
and a good drink. If you sat there and played your heart out in Little League, you got a star crutch, man. That's no way to win a game.
All right, I got another one. All right. We're just riffing here. So eventually sports is going to come back eventually. But let's say this weekend you only get one. You can only watch one. You watch, let's say the Sweet 16 into the Final Four. Let's say the NCAA tournament you get this week. It would have to be 2 rounds. So we could say Elite Eight into Final Four. We could say the Masters, NBA Finals, Best of 7 series. Let's throw in some baseball. Let's throw in your favorite baseball series. What is the one thing that you will watch? Well, the one thing that you will take over anything this weekend?
Well, I don't have any basketball team invested, most likely. So generally I would love to watch the Final Four, but it's probably not going to be somebody I pull for. NBA, Best of 7. That's LeBron versus Freak or LeBron versus Boston.
Yeah.
That could probably get me there. The Masters is hard to tell because if I trade all this and this ends up being a guy who runs away like Tiger did in 2001 or whatever by 17 strokes, then I'm gonna be pissed about it.
What if it's Tiger against, I don't know, Rory?
You give me
final day at the Masters.
You give me anything that's within 2 strokes the whole round, I'll take the Masters.
Yeah, I am too. I'm taking the Masters too.
I know Kurt ain't taking the Masters. He's taking March Madness.
I'm not taking the Masters. I'll finish Tiger King before I finish the one. But I'm going the first 2 rounds of March Madness. The first weekend.
Yeah.
A lot of times you might not have a guy in Final Four. The first 2 rounds are probably the best to me. The upsets and
I think I take the Masters for a number of reasons. Quarantining, and it's the only thing we got on TV. I'm watching.